It's Mrs. Frey-Brunetto. Most of you know me as Mrs. Frey. I am here with my husband, Mr. Brunetto, and
Hello.
he's here. I was really excited to invite him into my virtual classroom to teach you today about averaging. He's a professional mathematics person, so I'm not really great at that, but we decided to team up and teach you how to do hand sanitizer in this COVID-19 pandemic so that you could stay safe out there.
All right. I'm not used to doing this video stuff, but I worked all day. I put my heart into this presentation. I hope you'll enjoy. I hope it's clear, and I hope it helps you stay safe. And if you have any questions, maybe you can pass those along. Maybe I can answer those.
It's brilliant. It's really brilliant. Thanks for coming in.
All right, my pleasure.
And we'll start PowerPoint. So hey, suppose we have a bottle of alcohol solution that's 50%, but that's not good enough because these days we're looking for something that has alcohol 70% or better to kill the virus that we're dealing with right now. We'd like to have something higher, but we don't need something extremely high. But we're going to look at how we can fix up our bottle of 50% alcohol and improve that, or our hand sanitizer, or how we can make hand sanitizer that has at least 70% alcohol. And here's how we're going to think about this. We're going to look at averages and see how that can help us think about mixing things together. I love it when mathematics has one example that guides us to solve another problem exactly the same way. So I'm hoping that you'll be familiar with averages and you can then see how we can put together our mixture. So suppose you have a 50% on a quiz. How could you bring the average above a 50? By adding another 50? No, that's not going to work. We know that that's still going to be an average of 50. We need something higher to bring up the average. Okay, what if we had a 91 on a quiz to go with our 50? What would the average be now? Well, to calculate an average, we add together the numbers and divide by how many we're adding. This is called the mean, actually. There are different types of averages, but the most common type is the mean, and we just refer to it as the average. Here in this case, just by adding these two things together, we have our percentage that's above 70%, which is passing, and it's good for our alcohol too. So, all right, hey, having an average is like having everything be that same average. If everything was that same amount, it would work out the same. So, okay. Now, instead of starting with 50% on a quiz, what if we had 50% alcohol solution? And what if we mix it with another bottle of alcohol that's 91% solution? Well, the results will be just like averaging quizzes. We add them together, and the part that's alcohol in the total will be just like our correct answers on our quiz. And that'll be what we're looking for. Amazing. Again, it's like everything is, we can think of it all the same once we've mixed it together and it's all uniform. So you did it. You made two bottles of 70.5% alcohol. Of course, you could have used less, maybe half a bottle each, and we could have ended up with one full bottle of alcohol, or we could have mixed the whole lot and ended up with 10 bottles. All that matters is that you mix equal parts, equal amounts, or equal parts as we call it when we're mixing things, to get the average that we want in this situation here. But now we're going to look at a situation where we're going to need different amounts. Now what if you want to make a hand sanitizer that is, again, at least 70% alcohol, and you have aloe vera lotion, and that is 0% alcohol. It says on the bottle here 99.8%. We see 100% over here, but that's referring to the aloe vera plant, but it has no alcohol in it at all. And we have a 91% alcohol solution. So what if we had a 0 on a quiz and a 91 on a quiz, and we average those together? what would our average be? Well, it wouldn't be good. That's too low for the alcohol and for our quiz score. So what could we do to improve that? Well, what if we had another 91 and we put that with the other quizzes? What would be the average here? We're going to add together the three scores, divide by 3. If I'm doing this with a nice fraction calculator, it'll go in looking like this and it'll do it in the correct order. If I'm using a regular calculator, I want to press equals to get the sum on the top, and then I'm going to divide by 3. Or I can put the top in parentheses and say divided by 3. But I want to make sure to do it in that order. Otherwise, I would just be dividing this last 91 by 3. So just something to keep in mind if you're using a calculator. All right, in this case, we'd have 182 divided by 3. So our quiz score would be just over 60%. Now, some people say that's good, that's passing, that's good for hand sanitizer, but we're looking for above 70% today. We're getting better. What if, just going to jump right to something here, make a shot. There are ways of figuring things out with mathematics that we don't have to do as much guessing. We can look at pictures and graphs, but I experimented a little bit, and let's give it a try to having our 0 and then adding 3 91s. What's going to happen here? Well, we're going to add up all the grades, divide by 5 now. 364 divided by 5. That does it. That's what we're looking for. We're above 70%. We might be able to mix different amounts of these, maybe a couple zeros and some more 91s and get closer to 70%, but we're not going to worry about that right now. But we did it. So what we found here, again, this applies to mixing just like it does to averaging quizzes. If we mix 1 part of aloe vera lotion with 4 parts of 91% alcohol, we'll have a hand sanitizer that's more than 70% alcohol. Well done. I hope this helps. Anyway, that's how finding an average can help us mix things together. Thank you so much for your time today. Be healthy.
Okay, that was super awesome of Mr. Brunetto, and I'm really glad that it got to be Mr. Brunetto to be my first online guest for my classroom. So we are going to now put together the solution that he just taught you about using averaging for the alcohol percentage to be right, so that it will kill all the germs that might be affected in COVID-19. So whenever you work with alcohol, rubbing alcohol, make sure you wear gloves and safety goggles. You could also use your regular glasses. And if you don't have rubber gloves because they're in short supply, you could maybe put on some winter gloves or something else you have around the house. And what I want to talk to you about really quick before I put this together is parts and scaling it down, because we don't want to actually use 4 bottles of the 91% and then try to mix it with this whole bottle, because obviously this bottle is a lot bigger. So when you do this recipe, they need to be equal parts when you put them together in the average to make the average alcohol percentage, just like you learned about. So you could use different units of measurement, but when you're doing one recipe, you have to use the same device to measure with. So for example, if I'm going to do the 4 units and the 1 unit of aloe vera, I could just use glasses these are exactly the same size. Probably you don't have these at home, so we'll put those aside. You could use jars that are exactly the same size and maybe measure them with a ruler and mark them off. But I think it might be better just to use these to store your completed project in instead, because these are also kind of big. And the 91% alcohol, again, is in really short supply right now because people know they can make the hand sanitizer using it. But what you can do, and probably everyone has right on hand at home, is just your simple household tablespoons or even teaspoons. I'm going to go ahead and make sure we use all tablespoons or all teaspoons for all the different ingredients. So that's the very important part. If you use, for example, 1 teaspoon and then 1 tablespoon, it will mess up the alcohol content again, and your percentages will not be enough to kill COVID-19. So we will just stick with 1 unit of measurement, and I'll actually make sure these look slightly different. So I'm going to just use 1, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and take the 91% that you just learned about, and I'm going to go ahead and do, let's see, 4 of them. And most of you all know that it's never really a good idea to measure over the device or the equipment that you're going to be, you know, actually making your solution in. You want to probably measure it over 1, make sure you get it correct, get down at eye level, make sure it is correct, and then put it in the bowl that we're going to be using to create our solution, because this is needs to be very, very precise. So this is one kind of like my junk bowl. If I overflow, it's okay, I'll go back and put it back in the bottle later. Okay, so first one is going to be, yeah, I overflowed already a little. So there we go. Get down, eye level. That's 1 tablespoon of the 91%. And back over my practice one. Down at eye level. Yep. 2. Got a little couple drips in here. Too bad you guys aren't here to count for me like usually you do, in case I get lost. That's 3. Of course, you're not distracting me, so I have to need someone to count for me, hopefully. Okay, and that is 4. All right, so that's all for the alcohol, because remember it was 4 parts of the 91%. Now we're gonna do 1 part of the 0%, because aloe vera is aloe vera. It has no alcohol in it. So it's going to bring the alcohol percentage average down, because it's 0%. So we're going to do only 1. There we are. Okay, so that completes that. Now, I know maybe a lot of you don't have aloe vera on hand either, or it's hard to come by right now. So you could try to use a really soupy, make some Knox gelatin, which is kind of cool because it actually originated in Johnstown through the Knox family. For those of you guys who've ever maybe been to the Knox family mansion on Halloween, that was actually owned by the Knox family, who started the Knox Blocks gelatin. So that would be cool to use that. You would want to make it kind of like really, really runny soupy though, not like you would normally make it to eat Jell-O. And if you don't have Knox around, you could just use whatever flavor gelatin, but just remember you're not going to be eating this. This could actually make you very, very ill. It is strong enough to kill COVID-19, so it's definitely probably not going to be good for you either. It would probably hurt you very badly. All right, so there we are. 4 parts of the alcohol. We're going to mix it together. 1 part of the aloe vera. And you have a pretty good hand sanitizer solution. I'm going to go ahead and put it in this jar I set aside for that. If you have a funnel at home, that would be good. I picked one that has a little pouring spout on the end of it. Ta-da! And now we have a nice hand sanitizer that's over 70%, good enough to kill COVID-19, good enough to keep you safe out there. And I just want to, again, say thank you to my husband.
Guys, just remember, washing your hands is most important. So if you cannot find that 91% rubbing alcohol, do not worry at all. You can always find a sink and some hot soapy water. Until next time, I will look forward to seeing you. Take care.